Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We continue our look back at some of the stories we've covered over the last 9 years. This week, we're taking a special look back at Frozen Frontier. First, with a story on how it all came together in putting an ice rink on the baseball diamond at Frontier Field. From December of 2013, here's Bill Pucko.
This will be a winter festival and ice hockey event unlike anything we've ever seen in Rochester before. Frozen Frontier, an ice rink built within the confines of an outdoor stadium, is a work in progress.
We're going to be looking at about 2.5 weeks. We started about a week ago. They had to level the field off first because there's a little bit of crown to the baseball stadium, and we need a completely level surface. So we have a sandbox, and we got plywood that goes on top of the sandbox, and we put an inch of insulation, then another layer of plywood, and then we put a big plastic tarp, which we call our vapor barrier, which helps keep everything in place, and then we roll out our big tubes and our headers out.
The company was formed in 2002 and grew as demand for their services increased to the point where rink specialists, even while essentially just a 9-person operation, is big time.
We started ice painting about 12 years ago, and now we've got to the point of building full NHL-sized ice rinks inside baseball stadiums, football stadiums, wherever needed.
They're working 3 ice rink projects this season. The others are at Fenway Park in Boston and Comerica Park in Detroit. But those will be recreational rinks. Since this will get professional exposure from the Rochester Americans and the AHL, ours is actually the more significant job. The weather is less an issue than you might think. They open an outdoor rink beachside in Santa Monica, California in 80-degree temperatures without a hitch. It can, however, be too cold, as it was once in Chicago.
We want the ice to be 18 degrees, and now we can refrigerate to any temperature, to low, but we can't increase the ice temperatures. So we had one game that was an outdoor game where the high for the day was 0 degrees, and the ice would get so brittle at that point when the Zambonis pull out on it, or when a skater takes a sharp cut on it, the ice will break out in large chunks because it's too brittle.
All of this is largely an outgrowth of the first NHL Winter Classic, held in Buffalo with the Sabres playing Pittsburgh New Year's Day 2008. A crowd of over 70,000 turned out at the Ralph where the Bills play. It was one of the hottest tickets in the history of Western New York sports.
I got goosebumps. It was just something completely different. NHL's never really seen it before. I think they had the one Heritage Classic before that, but anything just for the Buffalo region itself, it was a great experience. It was a perfect game. Unfortunately, we lost, but with Crosby and Miller in a shootout, that's what you wanted to come down to.
The Emmerich game against the Lake Erie Monsters on December the 13th will kick off 10 days of outdoor hockey at Frontier Field. Everyone will get their shot. The RIT men and women's teams play. The Nazareth and Geneseo hockey teams own a date. There's an alumni game for the Emmerichs. Open skating opportunities. Frozen Frontier concludes with 10 high school hockey games the weekend of December 21st and 22nd, involving 19 different Section 5 representatives. Each of the high schools purchased 500 tickets for resale. There's a full line of Frozen Frontier gear available. Corporate sponsorship from Honda and Labatt, all part of a collaboration with the Rochester Americans and the Rochester Red Wings to cover a $400,000 price tag.
You know, obviously this is a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort on all of our organizations jointly together working on this to make it work, and we'll see what happens. In any event, you know, people that come to these games, it's going to be a win for them. It's going to be really cool, something that people are going to remember for a long, long time.
Coming up next, Matt Trabold joins us for the High School Notebook. We'll have that when the High School Sports Beat continues. Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to the High School Sports Beat. I am Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, and once again, we are joined by Matt Trabold. Matt, thanks so much for hopping on board.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, sir. We're talking about one of the big stars in Section 5 who made her decision on where she's heading to college. Talk about that.
A major question in the Section 5 girls basketball world for the last half decade was answered in the last week. It's what D1 program would Saniaa Wilson from Bishop Kearney commit to? The forward has played on that accomplished BK team since she was a 7th grader and has been getting offers from not just D1 colleges in general, but power conference schools since she was an 8th grader, since she was in middle school. The big name program she has picked for a verbal commitment is Seton Hall, the Pirates out of the Big East. She is currently a big national name. She's been a big national name for a while. This commitment is only going to continue that trend. She's a 12th ranked forward in the nation on ESPN for the class of 2021. It'll be fun to watch Kearney's push for a state title next season with that elite senior class, which includes a couple other future D1 players. So you have to think, yes, this is big for her college career, but she still has a little bit of that heralded high school career coming up. That one big senior season you would think is coming up. This Kearney girls program under Kevin Shepard has had by now a long line of D1 commits, and that includes a pair of current Monmouth guards and Rosa Graham and Allure Simmons, Wilson, and a couple of her teammates coming up who you would think will also be going the D1 route. It's just adding to that awesome trend you see out of that Lady Kings program.
Yeah, it really is incredible, the amount of D1 talent that is coming through there. Are you surprised at all by her decision?
Not too much. You knew that she was going to pick a power conference team because she's power conference caliber. Nothing against any team that was going after her that is of the mid-major ranks. But I mean, this is someone who is getting Syracuse looks, who is a staple, almost in the last decade been a bigger, more successful team in the NCAA tournament. This team, Seton Hall, is also a big name. Obviously, coming out of the Big East, you're going to have that. So I think it's just really a case of she was going to make a statement with wherever she committed to. And also, I think she's going to be good wherever she committed to, and I think Seton Hall is just that.
Yeah, she's going to be good wherever she goes. That's pretty much a guarantee. Now let's talk about someone else from Section 5 who ended up being really good where he went, and that school is recognizing him with a pretty big accolade right now.
This is Siena men's basketball in the last week put together and announced their all-decade team. Unsurprisingly, their current star point guard and former Aquinas player, Jalen Pickett, was awarded one of the 5 spots on the star-studded team alongside big names in the college hoop world, regardless of conference, like Odi Anisicki and Ryan Rossiter. Jalen, undoubtedly one of the top few NBA prospects the Saints program has seen, along with former Washington Wizard Edwin Uvalis, former Miami Heat guard Kenny Hasbrook. So even though it's a mid-major team, Siena is undoubtedly a high-profile program, so this is a big thing out of that. He is somebody that has put together, even as an underclassman with a couple seasons only under his belt, he has that big name to him and deserves it. What makes being named to this all-decade team even more impressive is that Siena saw an NCAA tournament presence over that span, so he's getting on this team over a lot of other big-name players.
We talk a lot about players choosing where they're going to college. And so you're a Section 5 lacrosse player. You're running down the list of colleges that you are looking at, you're interested in going to. And somewhere down on that list is Arizona State, a Pac-12 team. How do you come to choose the Sun Devils to further your college career?
Absolutely. The Pac-12 might not be the first conference some think of when it comes to collegiate lacrosse. A lot of that is due to geography, largely due to most teams in this NCAA sport being in other parts of the country, being on the other coast. There are not too many Section 5 alum playing in the Pac-12 Women's Lacrosse Conference right now, especially after Pittsford's Caroline Cullinan was once committed to Stanford, is now flourishing at Michigan, obviously in a different part of the country, but ASU, Arizona State, has a trio of Section 5 grads playing very well. Webster Thomas alum and junior attacker Emily Glagalev was second on the team this past season with 37 big points and includes some big-time performances on top of it. 6 points and a hat trick of goals versus high-profile Northwestern. Doing that against a blue blood is big time. HFL Honio Foz Lima product and junior midfielder Maria Volante came into this season starting every game of her freshman and her sophomore campaigns, and then grabbed 4 more starts in 2020. So she is clearly still chugging ahead in a major way. And then her former HFL teammate, Brittany Chamberlain, she came over from Monroe Community College, MCC there. So before she goes off to the Pac-12 into the big leagues. And she came in this year, and she's going to keep rising and rising. In her first go-around with this program, she had a goal against Fresno State. So this trio at least got to be together for that one more season. I think they're going to have a lot of success. You'd have to think so with a good core, a Section 5 core.
Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us once again. As always, great stuff. And we'll see you again next week. All right, buddy?
Thank you very much for having me on.
All right, take care. All right, we're back with more of the High School Sports Beat right after this. Coming up next, the Making the Grade nominee with Kyle O'Gara, and later, 10 Section 5 hockey teams get a chance at Frozen Frontier. Well, that story when the High School Sports Beat returns.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching the High School Sports Beat. I'm Kyle O'Gara.
Making the grade this week is Honeoye senior James Hallett. James keeps busy year-round by running cross-country, indoor track, and playing tennis for the Bulldogs. James has been on all 3 teams since the 7th grade and has racked up some impressive accolades during that time. Some of his most impressive accomplishments include 2 state championship qualifiers, being named a New York State Scholar Athlete for 3 consecutive years, and is a 3-time individual sectional champion in cross country. In the classroom, James has a 3.8 GPA and is a part of the National Honor Society. In the fall, James plans to attend Alfred State College and potentially run cross country. This week, James Hallett is making the grade.
If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them into mtg@rocksportsnow.com. Now here's Dave in the McArdle Section 5 Spotlight.
Thanks, Kyle. Here's how some of the athletes, teams, and coaches are handling quarantine in this week's Section 5 Spotlight, brought to you by McArdle's in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
McArdle's is open for takeout and delivery with DoorDash and Grubhub every day of the week. Visit our website, eatatmcardles.com.
Irondequoit track coaches Matt Teitler and Aaron Nobles rode over 12 miles to deliver goodies to their seniors. Way to go, guys. Eric King of Eastridge spent Memorial Day getting into shape for football. The ladies of Waterloo softball took a break to recreate some of their favorite photos. They did a great job. Well, coming up next, it's rainy, it's cold. It's a December day when Section 5 hockey played at Frontier Field. Well, that story with the High School Sports Beat continues.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back, and thanks once again for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. After the Amherst, the RIT men and women, and Nazareth and Geneseo played on the ice at Frozen Frontier, it was time for Section 5 to shine. For an overview of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, here's Brian Mazurowski.
The referees, the photographers.
Many hours were spent constructing the frozen frontier. And when it was completed, there was no shortage of teams ready to suit up and play winter's game outdoors and in the elements. But while the Rochester Americans may have packed Frontier Field for a thrilling game under the lights and snow, they were simply setting the stage for what was to come on December 21st.
This has been something that we've looked forward to since the start of the season. The kids have been really excited for it. Obviously, the hockey team's been very, very pumped up for it, but the whole school got into it. We had a pep rally yesterday at school, and the kids went crazy, and just been a great event for Rochester and for Hilton hockey.
Before the rink in the infield was taken down for good, 10 high school hockey games would be played over 2 days. And while the games would count in the standings just like any other, there was no denying that the setting made the weekend perhaps the most anticipated one in Section 5 history.
They've been waiting for, it's since August, whatever, when we had the first meeting and the game was coming, all together. It's guys are excited for it, for sure.
Tell me a little bit about the jerseys. Are they special for today?
Yeah, they're very special. I would say one of our players' fathers made them, and I think they're honestly really cool. They look originally like the old-time hockey jerseys, and it's really exciting to put these on, so I'm really excited.
The new jerseys, playing outdoors, how excited are you? How excited is the team for today?
The team is really thrilled. We're really ready to get out there. We really want to beat these guys. We know they beat us last year in sectional, so we're hungry for a win.
Oh, I've been waiting for so long. Ever since I heard about it, my friends have been telling me, and I got best friends on the hockey team, and it's just a great experience for them.
Well, once we, heard about it, we were excited, the kids were excited, so it's been a while, and just kind of the anticipation leading up to it the last couple of weeks, worrying about what the weather was going to be like, but now we're excited to be here.
The weather did cast a doubt on whether or not the games could be played. Heavy rain downtown almost proved to be too much for the ice surface to handle.
That's just weather in Rochester. You never know what it's going to do, and you got to adjust to it the best you can, and that's what we plan on doing today.
But even though rain was a concern, it wasn't going to stop the first ever outdoor game in Section 5 hockey.
The outdoor game didn't just look different. Rain on the ice forced players to alter their approach.
Just a usual game. Was it harder skating, I'd imagine, with this ice?
Absolutely harder to skate. It's a lot slower. Puck doesn't move as well. You can't handle it as well, but it's still hockey. Love to play it.
We definitely had to adjust. Our main goal was just getting pucks off glass and getting it deep, trying to get it into their zone and then trap after that and keep them contained.
Rough ice conditions forced trainers to be prepared for things they normally wouldn't have to.
The ice is awful sticky, so you'll see a lot of guys tripping over their own skates. Not that they've forgotten how to skate, it's just very sticky out there. So the guys have to get used to a slower game. And for me, when you got a sticky surface, it puts a lot of, let's say, stability on guys being able to hit. And for me, as being in charge of injuries, that's a potential danger.
Even if the conditions caused the games to be sloppier than usual, the crowds didn't seem to care. Fans braved the cold and rain so they too could take part in a special weekend of hockey. 10 games in 2 days were played on the frozen frontier, and while the outdoor rink has been torn down and taken away for 20 high school teams, the memories from one weekend will last forever.
Oh, it's exciting. It's definitely a lot of fun, and it's just a usual game, but outdoor it's a lot of fun for sure.
Words can't really bring to it in this atmosphere, even though the weather wasn't so great. This is definitely going to be something I never forget, and just stepping on this ice here at Frontier Field and beating CA is something I'll never forget.
we'd like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, and please take care and be safe.